It's one of America's most loved national parks, but underneath the beauty lies a killer, one that gets discovered from space.
In 1965, NASA begins a mission to map the surface of the Earth from space. They plan to use state-of-the-art cameras mounted on satellites, but to make sure the images they are getting are accurate, NASA decides to make a control set of pictures on the ground at Yellowstone.
They're making this map of Yellowstone so that they have a baseline, and the person in charge, his name is Bob Christensen.
Yellowstone has the ideal geology to do this because the park is just chock full of geysers and these natural pools, all of which can test the real accuracy of these cameras.
Because Christensen is also a geologist, the National Park Service also has him collect rock samples that are later carbon dated.
These rock samples reveal something strange.
It turns out that most of the rock in Yellowstone is made up of something called rhyolite, which only occurs when you have lava flowing or volcanic explosions. But there are no active volcanoes in Yellowstone.
Still, Christensen's data doesn't lie. The bulk of the park's geology is the result of several massive eruptions over the last 2 million years.
There are hundreds of unique geological features across the park. So Christensen's first thought is that these were the product of an ancient volcano chain that has long since gone dormant.
But when NASA's satellite mapping of the park is finally finished in 1972, Christensen is shocked by what the infrared pictures reveal.
What the images tell him is that the unique geological features of Yellowstone were not, as he thought, formed by an ancient chain of volcanoes, but by a single supervolcano.
Of the over 1,000 volcanoes we know of on Earth, only about 20 are supervolcanoes. And this is one of the biggest ever found.
The biggest of these eruptions took place 2 million years ago. This eruption launched as much as 600 cubic miles of red-hot lava and rocks into the air. This is an explosion 2,500 times bigger than the Mount St. Helens eruption.
Then, Christensen makes an even more startling discovery.
Even though it has been dormant for 500,000 years, lava still flows in this massive supervolcano underneath Yellowstone National Park.
And in 2022, scientists uncover even more alarming news.
A study published in the journal Science shows that lava chambers under the park are rapidly filling.
This, combined with the fact that Yellowstone has over 3,000 earthquakes a year, leads some to speculate that the supervolcano may be preparing to erupt once again.
If the next eruption is anything like the last one, it would spew enough debris into the sky to block out the sun in the western United States for decades, leading to widespread famine and economic collapse.
Considering the Yellowstone supervolcano has remained dormant for over 500,000 years, let us hope for another 500,000 at least.
You know the saying, curiosity killed a cat. Well, one curious diver completely ignores the warning when he comes across a strange underwater hole.
It's 1985, and a man named Henri Cosquer is exploring the waters of Cape Monjou south of Marseille. Around 100 feet down, he sees a hole in a cliffside, just big enough for him to swim into.
He swims into the hole, and he sees that it curves upwards into the darkness. And he realizes that the hole is the entrance to an underground tunnel that's over 200 feet long.
The farther he swims, the narrower the passage gets. It's also full of stalagmites, so one wrong move and he could end up trapped. And so he has to abandon his exploration.
Over the next few years, Kosker keeps the tunnel a secret. But eventually, he realizes if he's going to explore deeper, there's safety in numbers.
In 1991, he returns with a few fellow divers. Kosker leads them through the tunnel until they end up in a large cave. And that is when he notices a painting on the wall. And then another, and another, and the walls are covered in them.
Many of the images appear to be animals, including horses, penguins, and even a jellyfish.
Then Kosker finds something truly astonishing.
He spots a handprint. Looks like it's been stenciled into the cave wall. Only one of the fingers is missing.
As they look closer, they begin to see loads of these mutilated hand images on the walls of the cave. So they take a bunch of photos and head for the surface.
But before Kosker can share his discovery, 4 other divers find the cave.
These divers are totally under-equipped for such a dangerous dive. They have no spare tanks, no extra regulator, and no safety line. And they quickly run into trouble.
Their flippers begin to stir up some silt, which completely obscures their vision. They can't see each other, and they lose all sense of direction.
Tragically, 3 of the divers drown. So a spooked Kosker hands over his photos of the cave to French authorities.
And they send a team of their Navy divers to now go and explore this cave. They begin to catalog the paintings on the wall, and they count a total of over 500 different cave paintings.
Carbon dating reveals that the oldest of the images dates back 27,000 years, and that people returned to the cave over and over again, adding to this art for over 14,000 years.
But it's the images of hands that get the most attention.
Scientists' first thought is that the hands were mutilated. But after the discovery of similar hand stencils in caves nearby, they postulate that it might be a type of visual code communication or some kind of very ornate picture language.
It turns out to be the oldest known example of written language ever found, by over 20,000 years.
Incredibly, researchers believe that the cave once held 4 or 5 times as many images as it does today. That is before rising sea levels washed them all away. Sadly, it's estimated that the imagery that still remains may be washed away within 14 years.
Now, a team of artists and scientists are working to recreate all of this art in a museum in Marseille in an attempt to preserve these amazing unearthed mysteries before they are lost forever.